We had a fantastic event last night for all the Patriots, and we were at this amazing place called Sneakers Sports Grill in Jacksonville Beach, Florida, and it was great. It was great. But Brandon and Bonnie brought me this sign, and it's great because it matches my new president, which I'm very excited about. We all heard about 2:30 in the morning. It finally came through that Donald Trump was the next president of the United States. The number 47, which is something we were all hoping. Look, I told you, I knew it. I said it was going to happen. So many people didn't believe me. I said, in fact, today people were like, "Can you believe it?" I'm like, "Yes, I can believe it." They're like, "I was so anxious." I go, "I don't know why." And they go, "Weren't you nervous?" I go, "No, I was never nervous." Nobody was going to vote for Kamala Harris for president. Nobody was going to vote for Jill Biden. Didn't even vote for Kamala Harris for president. I'm pretty sure Joe Biden didn't vote for Kamala Harris for president. It's not even Donald Trump not only won an electoral victory, a bigger electoral victory than he ever has before in his 3 times running for president, but he's going to win the popular vote by like a lot. Kamala Harris is not a popular choice for president, no matter what they want you to think, no matter how cool they want you to think she is, no matter how many celebrities they want you to think she's got in her back pocket, no matter how many Taylor Swifts and Beyoncés and Cardi B's and I don't know who, Ben Stiller's. Is Ben Stiller even a draw? They may be rethinking that whole, hey, let's get Ben Stiller. Let's get Mark Cuban to be our spokesperson because it really didn't work out well for them. But man, it worked out well for us, didn't it? We have an amazing. In fact, I wanted to ask a question again. I don't know. This whole thing threw me off a little bit. I'm still trying to figure. I got to get somebody from tech support on the phone. But basically, here's what happened. Yesterday, Donald Trump won the presidency, and now we can look forward to something that we're all looking forward to, and that is, you know what? I don't even know where it is. It's like, this is not going well. Oh, there it is. Perfect. I got it. But we can look forward to the day one dictator, which is the thing, the View and all these other people, they're all freaking out about him being a day one dictator and blah, blah, blah. But I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm excited about his day one dictator, propositions. Number one, he said he's going to close the border. And number two, he said he's going to drill, baby, drill. So the question today is, what are you more excited about? The closed border or the cheap gas? If you're more excited about the closed border, I'd like you to give me a thumb up on Rumble, on YouTube, on whatever platform you happen to be watching. And if you're more excited about the cheap gas, go ahead and share this stream. Share the link with somebody. That's how you can vote in our poll today. What are you more excited about when Donald Trump becomes a dictator on day one? Closing the border or the cheap gas? Thumb up for closed border and share this stream for cheap gas, and we'll tabulate the results. We'll tabulate the results. I'm excited for all of it, man. I'm just excited for the prospect of Donald Trump coming back to the White House. I'm just excited for what's going to happen with the presidency, what's going to happen with the country, all of the amazing things that we have in store. Every single promise, which resonated apparently with all Americans because they saw and they heard what Donald Trump said. They saw and they heard that Donald Trump wanted to be the president for all people, that Donald Trump was going to restore law and order, that Donald Trump was going to do fantastic things when he returned to the White House, like lower the economy, increase jobs, keep them jobs here in the United States of America, make everything affordable again, close the border, begin the largest, the most massive deportation effort in our nation's history. That's everything that we always wanted. And now Donald Trump has promised that it's going to happen. And plus, he's bringing Elon Musk along for the ride so that he can bring down the size of our government and make government run more efficiently. He's going to bring RFK Jr. along for the ride so that we can make America healthy again. He's got some other great influencers, like, for example, Tulsi Gabbard. I know Mike Waltz will be very integral to the new administration, Don Jr. And let's not forget J.D. Vance. Let's not forget Vice President-elect J.D. Vance from the state of Ohio, who will be headed to the White House as well. And man, I'm so excited about J.D. Vance flanking Donald Trump for the next 4 years and potentially even rising to the highest office in the land for 8 years on his own in 2028. So a lot to look forward to, a lot of really exciting stuff. Well, not if you're a Democrat. If you're a Democrat, it's not a really big. One of the worst moments of your life, if you're a Democrat, was this.
We are now projecting that Donald J. Trump will win the state of Pennsylvania. Former President Donald J. Trump will win the state of Pennsylvania and thereby he is on his way to becoming the 47th president of the United States. With this, the path for Vice President Harris has narrowed, and there's really no path going forward. It's vanished.
Yeah.
This is historic. Everything was about Pennsylvania. Everything from the beginning was about Pennsylvania. Now, former President Trump will win the state of Pennsylvania, and we can make that call, the 19 electoral votes.
The path for Kamala Harris is narrowed. I'm sorry, that's actually inaccurate. It's just disappeared. It's vanished. There's no path for Kamala Harris without Pennsylvania. And we've been saying that since day one. Whoever wins Pennsylvania Avenue. We knew it. Now the rest of the world knows it. Whoever wins Pennsylvania Avenue. Scott Pressler knew it. Our good buddy, who I texted this morning, but I imagine he's sleeping after moving to Pennsylvania and spending the last several months getting out the vote, getting people to register to vote, getting Republicans and Amish and people who were, low propensity voters out to the polls to vote. Scott Pressler, Laura Trump, Michael Whatley, these people did everything that needed to be done to make sure that this election was solid, was free, was fair, and was secure. And when we had, look, there were a minor amount of election, let's just say, problems, but they were handled diligently and quickly. Wisconsin, one of the biggest was in Wisconsin last night. They announced that 30,000 absentee ballots had to be rescanned because Republican poll workers noticed that there were locks missing from the scanners. And we were told that would delay the Wisconsin ballots. Well, it didn't delay them too much because about 2 o'clock in the morning, maybe a little later, we saw that Donald Trump won the state of Wisconsin and the 10 electoral votes that go along with it. Not only that, but we also saw that Donald Trump won Pennsylvania, and there was an issue in Cambria County, Pennsylvania, where all of the scanners in the Republican county of Cambria, all of a sudden, just wouldn't you know it, they just stopped working. They stopped scanning, and they were like, "Don't worry, just put it in the lockbox here. Just put it in the lockbox, and we'll take them downtown and we'll scan them because we got a scanner downtown though, where this one doesn't work." But the scanner downtown works. So there you go. That's what we're going to do. And no matter what happened, there were lawyers on the ground. There were election officials on the ground. There were Republicans on the ground who were making sure that everything went according to plan. And everything went according to plan. And I know that because Donald Trump has the majority of the votes. He's got 277 electoral votes as it stands right now. He will most likely win Michigan. He's definitely going to win Michigan. He's going to win Arizona. He's going to win Nevada. After Arizona's going to take another week and a half to count their votes because, they're on desert time. They're just like, we're just kicking it in the desert. You guys got 277. We're just going to take our time. Nevada, same thing. They're going to take a couple more days to count all of their votes. But it appears that Donald Trump has plenty of votes. And when he gets all of these, it's going to be a record-breaking victory for him, his largest victory ever. Oh, and let's not forget the popular vote. Donald Trump already has about 72 million votes in the popular vote. Kamala Harris has 66. This is really devastating for Kamala Harris. She's waking up this morning to some really bad news. Number one, she's still married to Doug Emhoff. Number two, she has to go back to the White House and be vice president for Joe Biden, who basically destroyed her chances of becoming president. She's got to go back. Joe Biden not only threw her up there knowing full well that nobody wanted her to be the candidate and knowing full well that she had no ability to beat Donald Trump. He knew that. Everybody knew that. But he did it because he used her to get back at Barack Obama and Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer. He said, "You want to throw me out? You want to blackmail me into stepping aside and giving up my dream of a second term? Fine. But I'm taking you down with me, folks. I'm throwing Kamala Harris up there." And Joe Biden, without any directive or without any consultation of his party, he's the one that nominated Kamala Harris. He knew exactly what he was doing. Sure, he's old and he's weird and he's creepy and he falls a lot and he mumbles and he likes ice cream and he can't understand what he's saying. But man, when it comes to politics, he's still got some tricks up his sleeve. And nominating Kamala Harris before anyone else could stop him was probably the best political trick that he ever played. In fact, it turns out that Joe Biden was actually the better candidate all along. This is from CNN. This is Jake Tapper and John King going over the electoral map, and they're showing a map of all the counties in the United States of America where Kamala Harris outperformed Joe Biden in 2020. Watch closely.
Are there any places that the vice president is overperforming Joe Biden in 2020? So we could show you that as well. We just bring that out here. Harris overperforming in 2020.
Holy smokes.
There you go. So let this go away and see if there's anything on the east side there.
Literally nothing?
Literally nothing.
Literally not one county?
By 3% or more.
Literally nothing. That's the best quote, by the way, of all time. Literally nothing? There's literally nothing? There's nowhere that she outperforms Joe Biden?
Are there any places that the vice president is overperforming Joe Biden in 2020? So we could show you that as well. We just bring that out here. Harris overperforming in 2020.
Holy smokes.
There you go. So let this go away and see if there's anything on the east side there.
Literally nothing?
Literally nothing.
Literally not one county?
By 3% or more.
I mean, that sums up Kamala Harris's campaign in a nutshell, doesn't it? Kamala Harris, 2024, literally nothing.
Are there any places that the vice president is on the east side there?
Literally nothing?
Literally nothing.
Literally not one county?
By 3%.
Literally nothing. Kamala, literally nothing Harris. It's just, and you can't lie about that. Joe Biden was thrown out by his own party. He was replaced with Kamala Harris, and she was the worst candidate ever, the worst candidate in history. And she was going up against the best candidate in history. Donald Trump had a ground game. Donald Trump had an agenda. Donald Trump had a feeling for the nation. Donald Trump had skill. Donald Trump had an amazing team. Donald Trump think about this. Donald Trump was able to cut through all of the crap, all of the lies, all of the propaganda, all of the hatred, and he was able to unify this country the way the Democrats never have been able to. And Scott Jennings on CNN pointed that out.
This is a mandate. He's won the national popular vote for the first time for a Republican, for the first time since 2004. This is a big deal. This isn't backing into the office. This is a mandate to do what you said you were going to do. Get the economy working again for regular working class Americans, fix immigration, try to get crime under control, try to reduce the chaos in the world. This is a mandate from the American people to do that. I think I'm interpreting the results tonight as the revenge of just the regular old working class American, the anonymous American who has been crushed, insulted, condescended to. They're not garbage. They're not Nazis. They're just regular people who get up and go to work every day and are trying to make a better life for their kids, and they feel like they have been told to just shut up.
That's exactly what they've been told to do. They've been told to shut up. Barack Obama literally came down from the mountaintop of Martha's Vineyard and went slumming it with the brothers again at a Kamala Harris event and lectured them, told them, I'm hearing that a lot of support isn't coming for Kamala Harris, and I'm hearing it's not coming from the brothers. And he tried to tell them, look, you're black, she's blackish, you got to vote for her. And they were like, nah, it doesn't work that way. It does not work that way, bro. And Barack Obama, he's done. His political capital is all spent. He came down and he tried to save his party. He tried to save Kamala Harris, and he failed. And there's no more luster on Barack Obama's armor. It's gone. Donald Trump is the new #1 politician in the world. He's done it again, says the New York Post, which, by the way, the New York Post headlines, I realize they're all just dad jokes, which is cool with me. I love a good dad joke. And if they want to keep, he's done it again. He's done, one and done. I guess it'd be 2 and done now. But look, these are all the things that Donald Trump, listen to what Scott Jennings said. He said, America, this was a revolt. This was the revenge of the working class American. Friggin' A, it was. There's Donald Trump, and he's not standing on a pedestal. He's not up on some mountaintop looking down at everybody going, yo, you must vote for me because I'm Donald Trump. He's down in the trenches. He's like, what is all this working at McDonald's stuff that Kamala Harris is talking? I want to go work at McDonald's, so he does. He gets called garbage by Joe Biden. He goes, what is it? What is all this trash stuff? I'm going to drive around in a garbage truck and wear a vest. And he does. This is what Donald Trump does. Donald Trump says, you know what? I'm gonna not only do that. I'm gonna go. Oh, there's this quote. I'm gonna go on the Joe Rogan show. Why? Because that's what average Americans like to listen to. The dudes like to hang out with Joe Rogan. They like to listen to the Joe Rogan podcast. They like to watch wrestling. They like to listen to rock music. They like to work out. They're bros. They like testosterone. They don't want to be low T. Tim Walz does not. They're not Tim Walz guys. They're not Doug Emhoff guys. They're Joe Rogan guys. And Donald Trump's like, well, then I'm going to go be a Joe Rogan guy. And he does. And as a result, he's the next president of the United States. And it is definitely a mandate. 100% it's a mandate. And Van Jones, the problem is, I mean, there's a lot of problems. But the problem is that the left never learns their lesson. They come in this morning to their TV studios and their TV stations, and they think, okay, Kamala Harris lost, Donald Trump won. Kamala Harris not only lost the electoral vote, but she lost the popular vote, and that never happens. Which, by the way, is important because that takes away the electoral college is bad argument. I was all set. I was ready to go. I had notes. I was going to cut videos and I was going to do live stream. I was going to do a whole podcast about how the electoral college is amazing and the Democrats are going to try to get rid of it because they suck at running elections and their candidates are horrible and they're basically a bunch of socialists. But I don't have to do that now because Donald Trump winning the electoral college and the popular vote takes away their whole argument that the electoral college doesn't work. Because if the Democrats came in today and said, this electoral college is not fair, what country does that? We need the person who gets the most overall vote should win. Okay. Donald Trump is still the winner. Their argument is done. It's gone. It doesn't hold any water because Donald Trump is the electoral college winner. He's the popular vote winner. And Kamala Harris will literally nothing. She gets literally nothing when it comes to the counties that she outperformed Biden in.
Are there any places that the vice president is overperforming Joe Biden in 2020? So we could show you that as well. We just bring that out here. Harris overperforming 2020.
It's a blank screen.
There you go. So let this go away and see if there's anything on the east side there.
Literally nothing?
Literally nothing.
Literally not one.
Literally not one county likes Kamala Harris more than they liked Joe Biden. So, of course, they're sitting there going, okay, well, what happened? Was it that she was a crappy candidate? No. Was it that she hid from the press for weeks? Nah, that wasn't it. Was it that she chose Tim Walz over Josh Shapiro because she's an anti-Semite? Maybe, but probably not. You know what it is? It's probably. Here's the reason why Kamala Harris lost. It's because she's a woman of color and everybody's racist. That's got to be it. Let's go with that. Let's not reflect on our party and our policies and our propaganda. Let's figure out a way to blame racism and misogyny on why Kamala Harris lost. Let's do that. In fact, Sunny Hotson from The View, that was her big thing this morning.
I'm surprised at the result, but I'm not surprised. As a woman of color, I was so hopeful that a mixed race woman married to a Jewish guy could be elected president of this country. Mm-hmm. And I think that it had nothing to do with policy. I think this was a referendum of cultural resentment in this country.
Well, I think it...
Okay, she's half right. It had nothing to do with policy because Kamala Harris had no policy. You have to have a policy to have it people reject it, and she didn't have any. They looked at Donald Trump and said, Donald Trump has a policy. It's a pretty good one. I like it. Kamala, what's your policy? All she had was no tax on tips, which she stole from Donald Trump. When asked for a policy, she had her website gurus go to Joe Biden's website, rip that off, put it up on hers, change the color and the paint, and say, here's my policy. Wait a minute, that looks a lot like Joe Biden's. But no, I am clearly not Joe Biden. I'm so different from Joe Biden, even though there's not one thing Joe Biden did that I would do differently, which is something she said on The View. But Sunny Hotson's out there saying it's all about race. It's all about race. People are racist. They don't want a black woman to be president. That's not true. If Donald Trump were a black woman, I would still vote for him. If Donald Trump were a black woman who went up there and said, you know what, on day one, I'm going to drill, baby, drill. I'm going to close the border and I'm going to start a massive deportation effort. If Donald Trump had said that and he were a black woman, I'd be voting happily for him. It has nothing to do with race. It has nothing to do with race. In fact, CNN did a kind of a deep dive on Latinos. Look at this.
But look at the difference in the margin. So Harris is getting in Pennsylvania 58% of the Latino vote. Again, 6% of the electorate to Donald Trump's 41%. That's a 17-point advantage. But 4 years ago, Biden beat Trump with Latinos in Pennsylvania by 42 points. So that is a huge movement for Trump in narrowing that.
Yeah, that it cuts off. So Donald Trump won Latinos. He won Latinos nationwide. He won Latinos from Pennsylvania. In fact, see, they did a deep dive into that as well.
And here in Berks County, again, with one of the larger Hispanic populations in Pennsylvania, here's Trump with just about, that's basically the vote here, winning it by 13. Look at that. 4 years ago, he won it by 8. This is exactly what the Trump campaign said it was going to do in a place like Burke County. It was going to take that and it was going to make it double digits. They've made it double digits in Burke County. We check in on Luzerne County, and again, we've been talking about this one. As that same day vote comes in, this is Wilkes-Barre, this is Hazleton, another county with a substantial Hispanic population, one of the highest in Pennsylvania. Now Trump has hit his 2020 number there, and he's got a long way to go here. All that vote that's still to come in, we expect to be election day vote. The pattern, the trend is pretty clear here. So again, you're seeing Trump in good position in one of those big counties, densely populated counties in northeast Pennsylvania.
So there you go. So in Pennsylvania, Donald Trump's team goes in and they do exactly what they want to do, which is they want to get as many Latino voters as they possibly can. And they do it. And they get double-digit Latino voters in Pennsylvania. And we know whoever wins Pennsylvania Avenue. So great. You know what Latinos have a problem with? They have a problem with illegal immigration. You know what else Latinos have a problem with? The high price of gasoline and food and housing. Latinos can't find jobs either. The problems that everyday Americans have, Latino voters in Pennsylvania also have. So Donald Trump goes in there and goes, hey, you know what? We're going to fix all this stuff. What do you think about that? And the Latinos go, bueno. That's why that's what they're like, yay. Vota por Trump. That's what was happening, not just in Pennsylvania, but everywhere else. So you know what? So you know what they said on Morning Joe today? This cracks me up. They wanted to claim racism so badly. It's all they ever have. If a black woman loses, or a black Indian, whatever, you know the thing. If she loses, it's got to be racism. But the numbers don't add up because Latinos and black voters in Georgia were voting for Donald Trump over Kamala Harris because they just don't trust Kamala Harris to get the job done. So now that they can't claim that it's racism because Latino voters and black males are voting for Donald Trump, they now go to the next level and they claim that the Latinos and the black males are also racist and misogynist.
And I just say really quickly, too, Democrats need to be mature and they need to be honest. And they need to say, yes, there's misogyny. But it's not just misogyny from white men. Mm-hmm. It's misogyny from Hispanic men.
Right.
It's misogyny from black men, things we've all been talking about, who do not want a woman leading them.
Okay, so it's not just white men who don't want a woman, it's also black men and Latinos. All men are misogynists. And racism is now misogyny is their new thing because they realize it can't be race anymore. It has nothing to do with race. It never did. And it really has nothing to do with sex either. It has to do with Kamala Harris was one of the worst candidates in the history of presidential politics.
Might be race issues with Hispanics. They don't want a black woman as president of the United States. You know, the Democratic Party, I've always found when you're sitting around talking, they love to just sort of balkanize everybody into these separate groups and say, oh, white people don't like women and black people. No.
By the way, did you hear what he just said there? He just admitted that Democrats vulcanize people into a group. He basically just admitted that Democrats are racist and they race bait. He just said Democrats say white people don't like black people or women. That's not true. But I didn't know that. Is that what you Democrats are doing in your little Democrat meetings? When you have your little Democrat get-togethers, is that what you're doing? You're going, okay, remember, white people don't like black people or women. Those are our vulcanized groups. Okay, got it? Okay, got it. Good. Now go out there and TikTok. Go out there and do your thing. It is really bizarre. So it's not just racism from white against black. It's now Latinos against black and black against white and men against women, and everybody, according to Morning Joe, just hates everybody. And Van Jones, I guess I guess he thinks we're stupid. He's trying to convince everybody that, you remember when the Democrats called us all Nazis and white supremacists? It wasn't the Democrats, it was the Republicans.
The thing I think is most important to remember is the people who said that he was a Hitler lover weren't Democrats, they were Republicans. People who said that he was a fascist weren't Democrats, they were Republicans who worked for him. And so it's not just these elite Democrats over here, poisoning the well. You had a pretty broad consensus from Chomsky to the Cheneys, that was very, very concerned and remains concerned. And so I think it's not just on us to stop calling names. I think it's up to him to, as Allison said, with deeds show that he's not going to be those things.
Okay, so Van Jones wants you to know, look, we're not going to stop calling you names. The Democrat Party, they are not going to change anything about themselves. They don't see this as a mandate from the American people. They don't see that. They will never stop thinking less of you. They got their butts handed to them electorally. They got their butts handed to them in the popular vote. They got walloped by a guy who they tried to paint as a rapist, who they tried to paint as a tax cheat, who they tried to paint as a Russian spy, who they tried to paint as an insurrectionist. They tried, as a dictator, they tried to make Donald Trump the worst person in the entire world. Any bad thing they could think of, they thought of it, and they tried to put it on him. They impeached him twice. They indicted him 91 times. They said he stole state secrets and tried to sell them to China. And then they convicted him on 34 counts of, I don't even remember what it was. My mind is so full. I don't even remember. It was something with Stormy Daniels and hush money, right? That's what he was in. That's what he was convicted on. Yeah, I think that's right, in New York. That's what was going on. And now, instead of the Democrats saying, you know what, maybe we were wrong. Maybe the American people don't want us to use lawfare against our political adversaries. Maybe the American people actually want us to try to work together to make their lives better. Maybe the American people don't care about all of these things we've been telling them they should care about. And they care about their safety and their finances and their future and their families. Maybe they care about that. No, they're not saying any of that. They're saying it's racism, it's race on race racism, and oh yes, we're not going to stop. We are not, Van Jones, we are not going to stop calling names, because the people that called him a Nazi lover aren't just Democrats, they're also Republicans. I don't know. I'm going to be honest with you. I saw Anderson Cooper get Kamala Harris to admit that she was calling Donald Trump a fascist on CNN. I'm pretty sure that the Hitler comments and the white supremacist comments came from Joe Biden standing in front of that red church in Philadelphia a couple of years ago. And while Liz Cheney and John Kelly and all these former Republicans are now on board with the narrative, it's because they're former Republicans. It's because they trashed their entire reputation with the party because of their personal vendetta with one man. And it's clearly still going strong. Joy Reid is not going to stop on MSNBC. Not only is she going after Donald Trump, she's going after Ron DeSantis too. She called Florida, what was it, she called it like a mini fascist Project 2025 or something?
It's a pure Project 2025 in miniature in Florida. And that kind of extreme, sort of extremist, right-wing, fascist type government in Florida, does that make it a more attractive place?
I would say yes, by the way. I would say yes. The extreme fascist government that we have here in Florida, this is ridiculous. What she's referring to is the amendments that failed here in Florida. There were two amendments that failed. The first was smoking weed in public for entertainment purposes. That one went down, which I'm going to be honest with you, totally shocked. Donald Trump actually came out in favor of that amendment, but Floridians were like, you know what? We don't want our beaches smelling like a head shop. So no, thank you. We're fine without the recreational marijuana. And Amendment 3 failed. Then there was Amendment 4, which allowed the government to restrict abortion. And everyone was like, we don't want restrictions on abortion. We're going to pass Amendment 4, blah, 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 blah. This was the amendment that came about after the overturning of Roe v. Wade to try to get Ron DeSantis and his 15-week abortion ban overturned. It failed too. It failed. I'm so proud of my state today. I'm so proud of my country. I'm so proud of my state. I'm so proud of my fellow Americans. I'm so proud of my fellow Floridians. They saw the evil and they fought back and they won. And they did it with their vote. They did it with their prayers. They did it with their words. They did it by coming together. They did it with everything. And Joy Reid looks at this amendment failing in Florida and she goes, this is a mini Project 2025. in this fascist government that I guess what? It makes it more attractive to people?
It's a pure Project 2025 in miniature in Florida. And that kind of extreme, sort of extremist right-wing fascist type government in Florida, does that make it a more attractive place?
Yes, it does, because you know why? We have a larger population than we did 4 years ago. After COVID, Florida became the most attractive place to live. Florida became a super attractive place to live after COVID. Why? Well, because we have freedom here. We are the free state of Florida. Not only do we have freedom here, but we have liberty. We don't let the government interfere in your business. We don't let teachers or anyone else tell your kids how to think or what sex they are. We don't do any of that stuff. Here in the free state of Florida, you get to be free. You get to do whatever it is that you want to do. I mean, legally. And the government does not intervene. And there's no grooming and there's nothing else. And we're not going to force you to have an abortion or smell someone else smoking weed. That's not what happens. And they can't handle it on the left. They can't handle the fact that there's a great state that people are flocking to. We have 30 electoral votes. We used to have 28. You know why? Everybody came down. They all came down from New York State, and they all came down from Connecticut. They all came down from New Jersey during COVID, and they left their politics behind. They left their blue state politics behind, and they embraced the mini 2025 far-right fascism that Ron DeSantis and the great state of Florida have to offer. And also the sunshine and beaches. Let's not forget about those. You got the sunshine, you got the beaches, you've got all the theme parks. And also, you've got this right-wing fascist government, which is apparently very attractive to people, and that Donald Trump, I guess, is going to bring out on a national scale. While we're talking about Florida, I would like to point out also that the votes in Florida came in very quickly. In the great state of Florida, we were able to vote on one day, count the ballots on one day, and report them accurately in about an hour and a half after the polls closed. It was, I think, 8:30, maybe 9. I don't know. It was 8. It wasn't late at all. It was when we were sitting there at the bar. We were there at Sneakers Sports Grill in Jacksonville Beach, Florida. We were sitting there and we were waiting for the results to come in, and Florida came in, and I was like, wow, that was quick. But in Florida, we understand how easy and simple it can be when you know what you're doing. It's not going to take us a week. It's not going to take a lot of other places. In fact, I'll be honest, I was shocked that we knew at 2 o'clock in the morning that Donald Trump was going to be the president of the United States, which again points to that whole idea of a mandate. It points to that idea that there were so many votes. So it was overwhelmingly the swamping the vote, the being too big to rig. It worked. It worked. Imagine that. You come up with a plan and you execute it and it works. That's something the Democrats have never learned, unless it's a plan to try to stop Donald Trump, although they kind of failed miserably at that too. And a lot of things are going to happen now. A lot of things happen immediately. The first thing that happens immediately is that Donald Trump becomes President-elect Donald Trump. And this is going to be horrible for a lot of people in the media, because there were a lot of people in the media and a lot of people on the left and in the government who refused to call him President Trump when he left office. After January 6th, they thought it wasn't right. They're like, no, he's not the president. We're not even going to call him President Trump. Famous, I think the most famous one is that, who's the idiot from NBC with the glasses? Lester Holt. Lester Holt. I can find clips of Lester Holt refusing to call Donald Trump President Trump. He calls him Mr. Trump. And he'll say, President. In fact, they were talking about, there was one clip. It was so ridiculously stupid. It was the funeral of the guy who died. Who just died? Somebody died. Was it George H.W. Bush? Was it Carter? I think he's still alive. It doesn't matter. Somebody died. Some presidential person died. And everybody was there. And you heard Lester Holt or whoever it was go, as you can see in the front pew there's former President Clinton, President Barack Obama, President Bush, Mr. Trump, and his wife, Melania. And I go, wait a minute. They're all presidents, dude. They're all no. They wanted to call him Mr. Trump because they thought it was demeaning. Well, guess what? Mr. Trump is now President-elect Trump, and he will soon become President Trump, and there's nothing you can do about it. And if you don't call him that, you're disrespectful. Although I don't think they seem to care. The other thing that's going to happen immediately is that Donald Trump is going to begin his transition team. He's going to start getting national security briefings. He's going to start getting amped up security again. I mean, he's already got the highest level of security you can get, but he's going to start getting access to plans He's going to be able to talk to foreign leaders, and he's going to have to be part and parcel to any and all decisions made that affect this country. There will be no World War III now. You don't have to wait till January. There will be no World War III now because the president of the United States, who we assume is still Joe Biden, that guy has to confer with and counsel with Donald Trump, the president-elect, before he makes any big maneuvers. We also are very excited because not only does Donald Trump become president-elect, not only does Donald Trump become, a counselor to the president and start immediately to put his plans into action, but Kamala Harris has to go back to being the lame duck vice president. Not even the lame duck president. She's got to go back to being the lame duck vice president. She has to take 2 steps back. She went from being the hottest thing in the world, the biggest Democrat we have, the future leader of America, to, she's second fiddle to Joe Biden again, and she's not even popular. She's less popular than Joe Biden. She's less powerful than Joe Biden. She tried with her buddies to mount a coup against Joe Biden, failed, and she's got to go back and be like, hi, boss, I'm back. Good thing she doesn't have any actual responsibilities. In fact, Kamala Harris does have one responsibility. Kamala Harris has one big responsibility. There's one thing left that this woman has to do, and I can't wait for it. Next year, when Congress gets together to certify the ballots and certify the vote, you may remember it happened on January 6th. They all got together in the chambers, and Mike Pence was there. And Mike Pence, the vice president of the United States, it was his job and his duty to certify the electors for the next president of the United States. And Kamala Harris is going to have to make the trip up to Congress. She's going to have to sit there. She's going to have to listen to all of these electors being certified. And she herself, as vice president, is going to be the one that signs off ceremonially. They made sure of that. No official power. It's all ceremonial. But she's going to have to be the one that signs off on making Donald Trump the next president of the United States. And I, for one, cannot wait. I'm going to miss this campaign so much. I'm going to miss everything about this campaign. Last night let me show you these. I don't know if you saw this or not, but last night we had our big election night party, our watch party, and it was packed. The folks at Sneaker Sports Grill in Jax Beach, by the way, were phenomenal. They let us do whatever we wanted. They were like, whatever you want, you can do. Invite whoever you want. Set up whatever. We took over the joint. We put every news station up. We had CNN up. We had Fox News up. We had Newsmax. We were live. We had my big head on one of the live stream screens. It was amazing. And we had caterers from all over. These are the folks that made the sign, or they brought us the sign. Actually, they mailed it. We showed up at Sneakers. They're like, hey, your sign's here. I go, what? And they go, didn't you send us a sign from Texas? I go, no, I didn't. Well, it was Brandon and Bonnie. They're caterers from Texas, and they flew up just for this event. They wanted to come hang out and party with us for the election night party. And they sent the sign because they knew they wouldn't be able to take it on the plane. So what happened was they came out and they partied with us. And at the end of the night, they were like, hey, look, we don't want to have to ship this sign back. So we're just going to donate it to you. And boom. I was like, you're kidding. What? Are you sure? And they're like, yeah. You take it. And I was like, I don't want to take your sign. If you want your sign, they're like, no, you take it. I was like, buddy, thank you. And so the first thing I did, I came back here. I had to put the microphones all back together. I had to plug in all the wires, and I had to hang the lights back up, make sure the camera's working. I had to do all that kind of stuff. And then I was like, I'm hanging the sign, and it looks amazing. How great does it? Give thumbs up, by the way, if you're watching the live stream, to Bonnie and Brandon from Texas for this sign, because it's really, I think it makes a great addition to the studio. But that was just them. Look at that. This is Mary. And this is a red wave, by the way. And I don't know if you can tell from this photo, but this was her red wave that she made. She also has a hat with the Trumpinator teddy bear on top of it. But she's got, this is in the middle. I go, what is that, a Barbie doll in the middle? She goes, that's Taylor Swift. And she put Taylor Swift getting caught up in the red wave with her cowboy hat. Here's Oprah getting caught up in the red wave. Here's Anderson Cooper. These are all the people that are getting washed away. Mark Hamill. I just noticed this. She's got Luke Skywalker on there in the red wave. Liz Cheney, The View ladies. And she brought this, and I go, did you bring a blanket? She goes, it's the red wave. And she started shaking it so it would wave back and forth. We have it all on video if you want to go watch the video from last night. But it was just phenomenally It was just so phenomenally entertaining. And we had, you had Donald Trump in the background, but we had a great setup. Look at all these people. We had hundreds of people show up. We weren't sure how many. And I think I told Sneakers, we got there and they're like, hey, do you have any idea how many people are going to come? And I was like, 150 people RSVP'd. And if they all bring a guest, 200 to 300 people. And they're like, okay, we need more wait staff. And they called up reserves, man. They were like, get in here. They had bartenders going. They had wait staff coming in. People were waving flags. It was amazing. It was amazing. We had everybody stayed for so long. There's our little broadcast facility. We sat there and we broadcast the show right next to Donald Trump and the American flag and, the Jaguars logo, which nothing we could do about that. I guess I could have photoshopped that out of the photo because, we're all about winners today. We don't want to bring up, but it was amazing. And really just sitting there, it was really fantastic. And just, I was so happy that on election night, when we were watching America take their country back, when we were watching Americans from all over say enough is enough, we know what we want. We know what we need. We're here to save the Republic. Literally, I'm broadcasting a show called Mark Kaye Saves the Republic while hundreds of millions of people are out there literally saving the Republic. And we're watching in real time on television screens, the results come in and we're seeing the Republic being saved. And it was surreal. It was exactly where I wanted to be, and it was exactly with the people I wanted to be hanging out with. And there they are. And there's David Muir, the worst person in the world. Ha ha. David Muir was not happy last night, although I don't think David Muir's never really that happy. But it was a phenomenal crowd. Like I said, the whole place was packed. The Sneakers is huge. Oh, there's a beardy guy who I think his name is Josh, I want to say. And he I can't tell you what we talked about. It was super secret. But there I am with Donald Trump, couple dudes with our red hats and our American flags. I got my wife and kid. My wife killed it. She was producing the entire event. My kids were there. They were helping out with everything. Dream team. Who's that woman? I don't know. It's because she's wearing guitar picks on her ears. Anyway, there's some woman in a glittery dress who was hanging out. It's kind of a stalker. And then again, this was the vibe. The vibe was the future's so bright. I have to wear plastic sunglasses, probably from China that are red, white, but they were red, white, and blue. So that was it, man. That was the vibe of the night. And this sign I don't know how long it's going to be here. I don't know how long it's going to last. We got to decorate for Christmas soon, but I am so stoked. I'm so stoked about this sign. And I'm so stoked about how last night went, not just from a perspective of Patriots coming out and hanging out with us. And again, it wasn't just the Patriots. We had all these people live, but we had a record-breaking live stream. We had, on our Rumble stream last night, we had upwards of 50,000 people watching, which, I woke up this morning, I go, I should check some numbers. When at 50,000 Patriots from all over the world joined us live. And the comments, I'm not going to say what people were saying, but some people, there's two ways to comment people, that people comment, but rather on the stream. The first thing they do is they say, Mark, you're doing a great job. Keep it up. And I appreciate that. Thank you very much. And then there's other people and they go, Mark, you're doing a great job. I was just watching so-and-so and you're way better. That guy sucks. And I appreciate all those too. But anyway, either way, not one is better than the other, but there were a lot of comments along those lines. And like I said, I appreciate all of that, but it was 50,000 people on our Rumble stream. YouTube, we had another 10 to 20,000. YouTube, I thought it was the Wi-Fi at first, but it wasn't. YouTube kept dropping out. And I was like, what is happening? And the stream restarted 2 or 3 times. And what happened was a lot of other big time live streamers, Benny Johnson from the Benny Show, Ben Shapiro, I'm sure other people who are not named Ben, but they were all saying the same thing. They were saying YouTube, because of the fact that media has now shifted and the old media is dead. Donald Trump basically killed the media. He killed the radio. Thank God they canceled my radio show this year because I'd still be stuck on that archaic dinosaur medium if it weren't for them saying, get the hell out. But it was really amazing how radio has become totally insignificant. There were more people at that event yesterday who have just listened to me on my podcast or watched my live stream than ever listened on the radio. And television, we had all the TV screens up, but you know what I noticed? There were more people watching the live stream than probably TV. And YouTube was dropping streams left, right, and center because they couldn't handle the traffic. People were tuning out of the television and they were tuning into the alternative media, which I believe is now just the mainstream media. I believe that Rumble, I believe that YouTube, I believe that X, I believe that the podcast platform is now just the media. They have surpassed mainstream media to become mainstream themselves. And the alternate media, or the old school media, is the television and the radio and the newspapers, because there's so much more and better information coming out. North Carolina is a great example. North Carolina, the state of North Carolina, was called online. We called North Carolina hours before anyone else did. We saw the Daily Wire calling North Carolina hours before anyone. TPUSA and Charlie Kirk. There were online portals saying North Carolina is going to Donald Trump. And I kept watching CNN and I kept watching Fox News. And they weren't announcing it. I was like, why do you call it? They're like, North Carolina's still too close to call. And I'm checking my phone. I'm going, everybody's called it. It's North Carolina. It's red. It's Donald Trump. And they're like, no, still too close to call. They're behind. They're scared. I don't know what they're doing, but it's not going to be good for them, especially in the coming years. Because Donald Trump, the president of the United States, the most powerful man in the world, has really just unmasked them for what they are. In his first term, and this is kind of what happened. In the first term, in the first go-round in 2016, Donald Trump ripped the mask off of the media. And he said, these people are lying to you. They're fake news. They're propagandists. They are not giving you the truth. They're giving you opinion, and most of them are lying to you. They're telling you things that just aren't true. Like, for example, they're telling you that Kamala Harris is popular. They're telling you that Kamala Harris has this joy campaign. Look at all these polls. Look at all these polls that say Kamala Harris is going to beat Donald Trump, and she couldn't even beat Joe Biden. Iowa, we talked at length. I did a whole video on how this Iowa poll from Seltzer that came out over the weekend from the Des Moines Register was a bunch of BS. There's no way, I said, that Iowa is going to go to Kamala Harris. There's no way that Iowa is going to vote for Kamala over Donald Trump. There's no way she's winning that by 5 or 6 percentage points. But all you saw all weekend long was the shock poll. The New York Times shock poll from the Des Moines Register. It's Seltzer. And Seltzer, she's shocking everyone. Kamala Harris is going to win Iowa. Donald Trump won Iowa 54 to 46. It wasn't even close. There wasn't even a recount. This was all just media propaganda. It was all media lies. They're all just trying to create content to trick you and to fool you and to clickbait you. And that's why Donald Trump called them on it. And what he did the second go round, after he unmasked them and pointed out that you can't trust these people, you can't trust these fake news outlets. After he did that, he went and embraced the alternatives. And in doing so, first he showed you who the enemy was, and then he introduced you to an alternative. And that was it, man. Moving forward, people will be getting their information from Joe Rogan. People will be getting their information from Elon Musk and X. People will hopefully be getting their information from Mark Kaye Saves the Republic, because that's where the real information is coming from. And moving forward, look, this is not the end. Now, like I said, let me go back to the beginning. I'm going to miss this campaign. I did a whole video today, and you should probably go back and watch it. I may put a link to it in the, description. But this campaign has been one of the most joyous and entertaining and inspirational things I've ever experienced. And I wasn't even on the inside. I was kind of, I went to Mar-a-Lago a couple times. I went to a bunch of rallies. We had Laura Trump and a bunch of other we're hobnobbing with the celebrities of the conservative party. I got to go to Washington, D.C. and broadcast at the RNC. I got to come on here every single day and tell you why Donald Trump was fantastic, why he's going to do great things for America, why Kamala Harris is a horrible choice. I got to go to the RNC and be there on stage when Donald Trump gave his iconic speech and the balloons fell. It was the most inspirational, entertaining, just amazing experience that I've had. And I'm going to miss it. But just to refresh your memory, here are some of the big events. Donald Trump working at the McDonald's drive-thru. He's shoveling fries. Something Kamala Harris claimed that she did, and there's no proof of. Something Kamala Harris said she did as a child. There's no record of it. This is a 78-year-old billionaire who wants to be the commander-in-chief of the United States of America. And he says, you know what I think I'm going to do? I'm going to go to McDonald's and shovel fries in an apron. And the crowd went wild. A week later, Joe Biden calls us all garbage. And Donald Trump says, you know what I want you to do? Get me a garbage truck and an orange vest. And I'm going to put on the orange vest. I'm going to climb in the garbage truck. And I'm going to say, Joe Biden is a loser. We're not garbage. We're here to take out the trash. And that's exactly what he did. This little guy here. All right. I want you to say a prayer for Peanut today. God, take care of Peanut. Because what happened with Peanut the squirrel in New York? I'm telling you. Peanut the squirrel, this was a last minute campaign. I mean, I don't want to say a gift because dead squirrels should never be seen as a gift, but it was the last, I think, beacon of necessary change that we had. The euthanization of this tiny internet star. I mean, it shone the light again. Elon Musk was talking about it with Joe Rogan. J.D. Vance brought it up at a rally. Donald Trump is meeting with Mark Longo, the owner of the squirrel, to talk about the government interference and overreach in New York State. They went to the man's house. They ripped the squirrel from the palm of his hands. They took him away and they killed him. And this is a day and age where people get their information from internet memes. The candidate with the best memes wins. This is a meme that personifies government overreach. What we see here, when we see this picture of Peanut the squirrel in a little cowboy hat, is government is bad. Government killed this squirrel. And Donald Trump's out there saying, I am going to reduce the size of the government. I'm going to hire Elon Musk and we're going to cut the government down to size. And all of these squirrel-loving meme watchers are looking at this going, yes, government is bad. Kamala Harris is part of the government. Get her out of there. This was a distraction that Kamala Harris did not need because she was trying to make the case, her closing argument, if you will, and it was devastating. So the good news is Peanut did not die in vain. Neither did Fred. We always forget about Fred the raccoon, but Peanut did not die in vain. So say a prayer for Peanut. Joe Rogan, we've covered it at length. Barron Trump, the new mega political genius of the Republican Party, who introduces dad to the internet, introduces dad to TikTok, introduces dad to Aiden Ross, who got hundreds of millions of views on his video where he drove a Tesla Cybertruck to Mar-a-Lago and gifted it to Donald Trump. I mean, this guy, look at this guy. This guy looks like, I don't even want to say what he looks like, but he looks like he looks like the, let me just say, the prime suspect in some kind of Dateline drama, right? or like if they were, he's wearing a gothic Make America Great Again hat in black. He's got this dark look on his face. He's screaming and yelling. But Elon Musk is the proponent of free speech and small government that we didn't see coming. He was the magic bullet. His rocket ships aren't just going to take people to Mars. They're taking Donald Trump back to the White House. This photo, of course, I've said it before. I'll say it again. You don't get shot in the face and not become president of the United States. This photo, Donald Trump, let me look at him. Fist in the air, blood on the face, and the American flag just perfectly above him. I mean, what? This is a presidential photo. This is a superhero. Donald Trump gets shot in the head, pops up, throws his fist in the air and yells, fight, 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 while blood is pouring down off of his face. What did Kamala Harris do? She fell out of a coconut tree. You can't compare. Barack Obama's horrible. Joe Biden's horrible. They all did it to themselves. There's so many reasons why Donald Trump is president, and there's so many good things that are going to come from the second Donald Trump presidency. Now, we did get news about Kamala Harris. She last night she was at Howard University, or she was supposed to be at Howard University, and she had a big, group of people there, and they were all watching and they were waiting and they were hoping to God that something good would happen. They were hoping to God that somehow all of those red states would somehow just automatically turn blue, because guess what? They did in 2020. You can't fault them for that. Everybody was sitting there. They were waiting for the magic to happen, They're like, no, we know that Pennsylvania's red right now and Wisconsin's red right now, but wait, all we have to do is wait a couple of hours, right? And then they all turn blue. That's what happened in 2020. Can we do that again? Where's the 2020 thing that we do to turn all of the red states blue? There were girls on TikTok crying, going, when does that happen? I know that's supposed to happen. I can't stay up any longer. When does that work? Kamala Harris was at Howard University with hundreds of her supporters. She sent one of her subordinates out and said, go tell people to go home because we're not going to speak today. She will be speaking tonight around 6 p.m. Eastern And she's going to be speaking about how, well, I guess she's conceding the election and she's come to the realization that her political career is over. That happens at 6. I don't know if we're going to go live with it or not yet. Maybe. I'll have to see. I'll be honest with you, I'm pretty tired of talking. After like 6 straight hours of talking last night and a couple more today and not a lot of sleep because we were up watching the election returns. We'll see what happens. Maybe at 6 o'clock we'll go live for it. But either way, she's going to be talking. Oh, breaking news. Breaking news. They just called Michigan for Donald Trump. They just called Michigan for Donald Trump. So there we have it. Donald Trump could, even now that he's president, he's still winning. Yep, there it is. Michigan. Donald Trump is now at 200. Let me pull this up real quick. Donald Trump is now at 292 electoral votes. Kamala Harris remains at 224. Kamala Harris is done. I guess Maine, she's still got Maine coming in with it. So she'll get to like 228, I guess is what we're thinking. But Donald Trump still got Arizona, Alaska, Nevada. It's 292. He's going to be well over. In fact, I think it was Jason Miller. Jason Miller gave us, he was talking to somebody this morning that was Savannah Guthrie maybe. And Jason Miller talked about how great this was for Donald Trump and how successful he was. Listen to this.
Yeah, so President Trump was in very good spirits last night, obviously, after winning not just the presidency, but in a manner that was such an overwhelming landslide, winning the popular vote. He's on track to get 312 electoral votes. And for those scoring at home, that's even bigger than what he was able to do in 2016. And Savannah, let me explain why that's such a big deal, because we have such serious problems in front of us with our economy and with the border, and Americans want it fixed now. I think a major reason why President Trump won is because he made it clear how he's going to improve the lives of every American, and the fact that he can do it right away. He doesn't need 1 or 2 or 3 years to figure out where things are, how things in Washington work. He's done it before. We have that great economy. We have that secure border. He can do it right away.
I mean, this is genius, and this is what people aren't talking about. Donald Trump has no learning curve. Donald Trump went to Washington. He was there for 4 years. He did these amazing things all while he was being investigated and impeached and all this other ridiculous stuff. He did all these amazing, he fixed the economy. He fixed the border. He kept the world safe. He redid the entire arrangement with our trade agreements. And he did it all in 4 years. He knows what to do. He made some mistakes. He hired the wrong people. Jeff Sessions, for example, horrible choice as Attorney General. Tillerson, what was the name? Secretary Tillerson. I even forget. See, that's how much I forget. There were a lot of mistakes. Reince Priebus was a nice guy, but he wasn't the chief of staff that Donald Trump needed. Now Donald Trump has 4 years. 4 years where he has been plotting his return. It's almost, you know what? It almost works out better for Donald Trump. And it works out better for Donald Trump for a couple of reasons. Donald Trump had 4 years in Washington, D.C., where he got a lot done and he learned how the system worked and he got attacked and attacked and attacked. Then he had a 4-year hiatus. And during that 4 years, Joe Biden showed everybody just how great a president Donald Trump was by being one of the worst presidents we've ever had. They made people crave a return, Donald Trump's return. And in that 4 years, Donald Trump became an actual better president. He got better relationships with people. He found better staff. He made better alliances. He brought in Tulsi Gabbard, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Elon Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy. He got a great VP in J.D. Vance. He made strategic alliances in Congress and in the Senate, and he helped people get to where they need to be so that now there's a little bit of loyalty. And he'll have Mike Johnson, which we'll get to in just a minute. He'll have Rick Scott. He'll have a bunch of people inside the Senate, inside the House, in the Supreme Court. Don't forget, he's got a conservative majority in the Supreme Court. Donald Trump has everything going for him, and now he's going back to the White House with an electoral and a popular vote mandate. And, as Jason Miller pointed out, knowledge of what to do on day one. He's going to go in on day one. He's going to be like, okay, not how do we do this? It's we're back. Let's do what we did before, only better and faster and easier and better and also faster and faster and better. And that's what he's going to do. And they ask, what can he do? What can Donald Trump do, actually, on day one? Will he be a dictator? Uh-huh.
Yeah, great question. So a number of things you can do with executive orders, such as put all of his strong border policies back in place. And the previous administration didn't need any acts of Congress to go and break the border. And so all we have to do with regard to the borders, put his policies back in place. We can secure it and start making the country much more safe. Also, we can get a lot of the energy exploration going, which, of course, that will help with bringing down the cost of things and stop the out-of-control inflation that we've seen. Other things take acts of Congress and such, but you can start off on day one. And that, I think, was one of the key value propositions of why voters look to President Trump, because they've seen him do it before. This isn't something where you hear politicians talk about things on the campaign trail and you don't know if it'll come together. President Trump built the greatest economy we ever had. We had a secure border. He can put that back in place, and the voters know that he's already done it.
And that's why a lot of voters put him back into office. It's going to be so exciting. It's like Donald Trump knows exactly. He's going to go in there and be like, you. Okay, what else? Then we're going to move on. And here's the best part. Here, I saved the best part for last. Here's the best part. This is the best part. Let me show you the best part. The best part is not only is Donald Trump returning to the White House, but we have a Republican majority in the Senate. I feel like a strong Republican majority in the Senate. This is insanity. The Republican majority in the Senate grew not one, not two, not three, but 4 seats. Allow me to explain. We had a Republican pickup in Pennsylvania where Bernie Moreno beat what's his name? I'm sorry, I'm thinking of the wrong state. Dave McCormick is going to beat Bob Casey in Pennsylvania, which is fantastic because the two senators we had from Pennsylvania were Bob Casey and John Fetterman. So now we have at least one senator from Pennsylvania with a brain. That's always a good news. But Dave McCormick beat Bob Casey in Pennsylvania. Also in Ohio, Bernie Moreno knocked Sherrod Brown right out of there. He's gone. And we know that J.D. Vance is headed to the White House. That means that we're going to have another Republican senator because the governor, what's his name? You know, the guy with the glasses who gave away all the money. I can always forget his name. Governor, you know the thing. He's got to now pick a new senator, and that senator is going to be a Republican. So we're going to have 2 Republican senators from Ohio. We're going to have 1 from Pennsylvania. Rick Scott won again here in Florida. In West Virginia, we picked up Jim Justice because, man, as soon as Joe Manchin was like, I am out of here. I'm gone. As soon as that happened, everyone was like, dude, that's a pickup. West Virginia is about the reddest state we have. I have no idea why. Joe Manchin was there for so long, but that's what went on with the Senate. And J.D. Vance is the tie-breaking vote. J.D. Vance is the president of the Senate, so he is still technically a vote in the Senate, which means the GOP doesn't just have a 52-seat majority, it has a 53-seat majority because in a time of need, there's always that one extra vote that the vice president can submit in case of a tie. So the Democrats, they're devastated in the Senate today. Devastated. Out in Nevada, it looks like it's still a tight race. And in Arizona, apparently, Carrie Lake lost again. I don't know what is next for her. She's a wonderful woman. Very lovely lady. I wish she could win an election, though, because I feel like maybe she'll get a political appointment. Maybe that's more what Kaye. That's kind of a bummer because I was looking forward to an even bigger majority. But then let me show you this too. Let's show you the House races because the House of Representatives, that was the big question mark, man. That was the big question mark. Everyone was like, are we going to have the House of Representatives? And all these fake news agencies were like, it's going to be tight. I don't know. It may go. I don't know if they're going to be able to hold on. Well, right now, as it stands with the elections, the GOP has lost 0 seats and gained 1. And the Democrats have gained 0 seats and lost 1. So the Democrats taking over the House of Representatives, it just doesn't look good. And I don't see any more pickups. It needs to be 218 is the majority. 218 is the majority. I see right now because you have to think about this too. A lot of first-time voters went to the polls. And those first-time voters went to the polls and voted for Donald Trump. Why? Because we had massive voter registration efforts in Pennsylvania by people like Scott Pressler. Thank you, Scott. We had massive voter registration efforts all over the country, thanks to Laura Trump and Michael Whatley at the RNC. Thank you, Laura Trump and Michael Whatley. We had all of these things going for us. We had a get out the vote effort like you wouldn't believe. And we had people voting for Donald Trump and voting down ballot Republican, which means everybody gets a boost. And there's not going to be a Republican loss in the House of Representatives. So if you're playing at home, we have a Republican in the White House. We have a Republican Senate, a large majority in the Senate. We have a Republican House of Representatives, and we have the most constitutionally conservative Supreme Court that we've had probably ever. And that means that everything we want to get done, we will be able to do with very little interference, very little friction, very few people who can stop us, and we'll be able to do it very, very quickly. Donald Trump said we're about to enter a golden age. Absolutely right. This is going to be better than the first 4 years. There will be more winning. There will be more thriving. There will be more of everything. There's going to be more. Everything will be better for every American. Joe Biden's life is going to be better. All that money he's funneling in from China and Ukraine and everywhere else, he will get to keep more of it because he won't be paying as much in taxes and he won't be paying as much for groceries. Ice cream prices will come down. That Jenny's ice cream, that is in the double digits for a pint, man. It's like $14 a pint. That's going to come way down. Hunter Biden, when he gets out of prison, he won't have to worry about not paying his taxes anymore because his taxes will be way down. He'll be able to afford to pay his taxes. Now, whether or not he decides to pay them, that's a horse of a different color, as they say, but he will be able to afford to. Even Kamala Harris doesn't realize this today. I hope she finds solace in this. I know it's troubling. You're waking up, you realize that in a couple months you're going to be out of a job, that nobody likes you, that people thought Joe Biden was a better candidate all along. It's a tough, nut to swallow. And the good news is her life is going to be so much better. She's going to go into the private sector. She'll probably do some speaking engagement. No, she's probably not going to. I don't know what she's going to do, quite frankly. I don't know what she's going to do. But whatever she does, it's not going to be speaking engagements. I don't know if you've heard her speak, but that's not really her thing. Especially when she yells at the crowd the way she does.
Right now, I am speaking.
Yeah, I've done a lot of public speaking myself. I've done a lot of keynotes. I've done a lot of big events. I host lots of, I've done comedy. I've done all that kind of stuff. Never once have I stood on stage and said, excuse me, I am speaking.
Right now, I am speaking.
But I guess somebody out there, maybe they're looking for a Karen to come and speak to their event. Maybe they feel like maybe there's some corporation out there that has $50,000 to pay Kamala Karen Harris to come out there and yell at people. I don't know. There's been stranger things. People have created industries out of stranger things. I'll just say that. There was a girl who sold her bathwater. It doesn't matter. So the fact of the matter is that Kamala Harris will go out into the private sector and she will start doing something. And she will pay less in taxes. And she will have less of a threat of crime, of being attacked by an illegal immigrant, of being carjacked. Her city, her township, her entire, wherever she is, she will be safer and more secure and more financially stable because of Donald Trump. Because Donald Trump's policies aren't just for you and for me. They're for Kamala Harris. They're for Joe Biden. They're for Sunny Hotson from The View. They're for Joy Reid. They're for Van Jones. They're for Jake Tapper and John King. They're for everybody. Every single American benefits by the policies that Donald Trump and his posse are about to put into place. And so Kamala Harris may today feel like she's at a loss and her world is crumbling around her. But really, blowing this election as badly as she did is probably the best thing she could have done for herself, because Donald Trump will be a better president for Kamala Harris than Kamala Harris would have been for herself. And that's what we've got. That's what we've got to look forward to. Listen, there's an update. I said that Kamala Harris was speaking at 6. She's apparently speaking at 4. She's apparently speaking at 4 today. So if Kamala Harris is speaking at 4 o'clock today, I probably will not go live. I'm going to be honest with you. But listen, but I want to say thank you so much. Thank you so much once again to everybody who came out yesterday and watched online. Somebody said to me today, they said, well, what are you going to do now? And I go, what do you mean? What am I going to do now? And they go, well, your show. And I go, yeah. They go, it's called Mark Kaye saves the republic. And I said, thank you very much for listening. Why, yes, it is called Mark Kaye Saves the Republic. They go, well, you save the republic. And I said, no, hold on. First of all, I didn't save the republic. I played a small part in inspiring people to save the republic. We all saved the republic. But here's the thing. That's just the one threat. There's a new threat every single day. And if you think that these people are going to stop or slow down, if you think these people are going to take a break, if you think these people are dejected, if you think these people are like, well, we lost, they won, we're wrong, they're right, we're going to go home and try something else. They've already decided that they are not giving. They've doubled down on their attacks. They've doubled down on the idea that this country is in the hands of fascists and Hitler lovers. Van Jones said, we are not going to stop.
The thing I think is most important to remember is the people who said that he was a Hitler lover weren't Democrats. They were Republicans. People who said that he was a fascist weren't Democrats. They were Republicans who worked for him. And so it's not just these elite Democrats over here, poisoning the well. You had a pretty broad consensus from Chomsky to the Cheneys, that was very, very concerned and remains concerned. And so I think it's not just on us to stop calling names. I think it's up to him to, as Allison said, with deeds show that he's not going to be those things.
Well, we're not going to. It's not up to us to stop calling names. It's up to Donald Trump to prove himself. They're going to keep coming after him. They're going to keep attacking him. Now, here's the thing. Yes, we saved the republic today. We saved the republic this time, but the attacks aren't going to stop. Do you realize that Donald Trump is going to be in court on November 19th? It is now November 6th. November 19th, which is 13 days away. November 19th, which is 13 days away, Donald Trump is going to be in New York City in a courtroom for sentencing in the Stormy Daniels hush money, blah, blah, blah trial. And he's going to have to sit there, and Judge Merchan is going to come out. Now, I'm assuming, but you never can tell, the Democrats are ruthless. I'm assuming that what's going to happen is Judge Merchan is going to sit with the prosecutor and the defense attorney, and he's going to say, okay, we've had a turn of events here. The defendant, the person who we found guilty of 34 felonies is now the president-elect of the United States of America. So what do we just say? We drop all the charges and let him go run the country for a while. I assume that's what's going to happen, but you can't really assume anything with these people. Jack Smith will be out of a job. If Jack Smith's packing up his office right now, every federal charge against Donald Trump will be dropped. Why? Because Donald Trump runs the federal government. Donald Trump's going to put in place somebody in the DOJ who's going to fire Jack Smith, who's going to shut down all of these investigations, who's going to say this was a big waste of time, who's going to start actual real investigations into actual real corrupt government officials who've been just using the government and abusing their power for decades unchecked. Well, now they're going to be checked. Probably Kash Patel or someone else along those lines. But that's going to be the first thing that happens. But I have to imagine that all of these other cases, they're going to go the way of the dodo. You don't want to be the guy that sends the most popular president we've had in years. You don't want to be the guy who sends the only Republican in the last 40, 50 years to win the popular vote and the Electoral College to prison. You're going to put Donald Trump on house arrest, what, till Inauguration Day? He's going to have to zoom into his meetings with his transition team. It's not going to happen. And if it does, you're going to have a whole other problem. In Georgia, the election interference case in Fulton County, though Fannie Willis and her boyfriend, they're in such problem. They should step back. But what this is a referendum on all of them. It's not just a referendum on Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. It's a referendum on Merrick Garland. Merrick Garland, who went along as an eager participant, as Joe Biden's pawn in the Justice Department, as somebody who said, you know what, I know I swore a duty and an oath to this office, but I'm not going to uphold it. I'm going to abuse it, and I'm going to use my power to attack Donald Trump and also other conservatives, people who protested peacefully on January 6th, and parents who are just going to PTA meetings because they're concerned about their child's welfare. I'm going to persecute all of those people. I'm going to use my power against all of those people. This is a referendum on him. And Merrick Garland is going to wish he just went away After he was picked by Barack Obama to be a Supreme Court justice, and after the Senate said, you know what, we're not really into Merrick Garland, he should have just stayed in the dustbin of history. He should have just waited to become a trivia question on an upcoming episode of Jeopardy. But he didn't. He came to work for Joe Biden. He laid down with a dog and he woke up with fleas. And now he's gonna have to pay the price. The other thing that you have is not just Merrick Garland that is out of a job. You have not just the Department of Justice who's going to be revamped. You've got other people. Alejandro Mayorkas, the only secretary in my lifetime that's been impeached, the Secretary of Homeland Security, impeached by the House of Representatives, the most ineffective and horrible person to ever hold any kind of secretary job in the cabinet. Pete Buttigieg, what's he going to do? Is he going to go back to South Bend, Indiana? I mean, there's a whole bevy of people who this was a referendum on. Pete Buttigieg probably, again, I didn't even know you could be a bad Secretary of Transportation until Pete Buttigieg got the job. But look at what happened with the East Palestine train derailment and the way that was handled, or rather not handled. Look at what happened with the supply chain getting all bogged up. Do you remember 2 Christmases ago when we couldn't get the stuff from China off of the ships? They were floating around in there outside of California, and we didn't know if we were going to get our, I don't even know what the hot toy was, but whatever the hot toy was, nobody knew if they were going to get it. Couldn't get sneakers, couldn't get clothes, couldn't get whatever you needed for the holidays because Pete Buttigieg was the transportation secretary. I couldn't even name another transportation secretary who was as bad as Pete Buttigieg. That's how bad he was. The whole lot of them, everyone is going to be gone. And we're going to wipe this. Chris Wray at the FBI, he's going to be out of there. It's going to be a clean slate because this was a referendum on the entire government. Donald Trump was the anti-government. Donald Trump, look at who he's surrounding himself with. Elon Musk is not a government official. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is a Kennedy. He's not a government official. Vivek Ramaswamy is not an elected official. These are people who are outsiders, outliers. J.D. Vance, until recently, wasn't a senator. And now they're coming in and they're going to work together to make America great again. And we've got a front row seat. So we're not done. Yes, we had a task. We dedicated ourselves to that task. We said our goal is to fight back against Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and get Donald Trump elected. And we all did it. I did it. You did it. Charlie Kirk did it. Elon Musk did it. All these people did. Scott Pressler sure as hell did it. Everybody did. We all worked together. If you listened to this podcast, if you shared this podcast, if you subscribed to this podcast, if you did any of those things, then you helped. If you had conversations with your friends or relatives, if you wore a shirt, if you were combative in your conservatism, if you were conscientious and conversed about your conservatism and your love for America and God and country, if you went to an event or a rally, you played your part. And most importantly, if you voted yesterday or any time during this election time, then it's on you. You saved the republic. You got your goal. But just know, we're going to wake up tomorrow and there's going to be a brand new threat. And we're all going to have to come back together and we're all going to have to realize what that threat is and we're going to have to strategize. And somebody's going to be lying to us and you're going to need somewhere to go to find the truth. And somebody's going to be pushing propaganda on you and you're going to be like, what is this? What is real and what is fiction? What is the right path forward? And we're going to need to stick together because, yes, the threat is over for now, but there's a new threat on the horizon. I don't know what it is yet, but together we're going to fight it and we're going to beat it. And we will continue every single day that we are breathing air out of our lungs. We are going to continue to save the republic.